That cocoa tea is a poison to me. Every time I drink it, I don't know where. Hey everybody, I'm back. I'm Chef Rhea, and this is how to cook like a Bajan. As you can see, I'm already hard at work. Today, we're going to be making some cocoa tea because we're going to be having a proper Bajan breakfast. And this is going to be the star of the show. You can believe it. So, on the menu today, ham. We're going to have brown and served sausages. What aren't we going to have for breakfast? Bakes, plantain, flying fish. You hungry yet? I'm hungry. And a little thirsty too. That cocoa tea is a poison for me. Every time I drink it, I don't know where. So we're gonna start with cornmeal pap. Yes, let's get the stove on. Let's get some water in bottom of our pot. Now, some of you might know that cornmeal is indigenous to the region. It's been around some 9 millennia, and the indigenous people of the Caribbean region have been using cornmeal for a variety of dishes for a very long time. They grind it, they treat it with an alkaline salt, and they make many dishes very much like this one that we're going to make. Cornmeal pap, or other people will call it a porridge, right? So right now my cornmeal has been soaking in milk. I have my water in my pot getting warm, and of course I'm going to add my spices. And if you went to market with me at any point in time in the series, you would know that I love my spices. Yeah, so in with some cinnamon, and I'm gonna borrow this from here, a little nutmeg. As far as I'm concerned, when you're cooking, flavor at every step. So from the time you start, you put in flavor in this food. Right, so there we go, put that back. So I'm gonna let this get a little warm, and I will need my spatula because I'm gonna start making my cornmeal. So is my water. It's a little hotter. Now, the consistency of your cornmeal pap, of course, depends on you. Some people like it thick. Some people like it a bit thinner. You will adjust your liquids to suit. Yes, perfect. You hear that sound? The water is hot, but it's not boiling. So we're gonna pour in our cornmeal and milk. Excellent. And of course it's gluten-free, and we're always looking out for our gluten intolerant and lactose intolerant population because we're finding that a lot more often nowadays, and we don't want you missing out on anything. So maybe for breakfast, instead of oats, you might want some cornmeal, which is fair enough. And cornmeal is not the only kind of porridge. Obviously in Barbados we enjoy porridge very, very much. So you can have linseed, you can have barley, you can have sega, whichever one is your favorite, but this is the classic. I mean, something that goes back that far would have to be the classic, yeah? So it's starting to thicken. It already smells good. I know I tell y'all that the things smell good, but you know, they really smell good. Look at that consistency. And it doesn't take long. It doesn't take long. What you should check for, which I'm going to check for as it thickens, keeping my temperature really low, is whether or not your cornmeal pap is grainy. If your cornmeal has cooked out, yeah? If it is not fully cooked, but it's already thick, you're going to add a little extra water. So I'm just going to grab my spoon and test it. Two more. Ooh. Now those spices really make the difference. There's nothing like spices from the market when you're making a good proper Bajan dish, yeah? So you can cook it out a little longer. We want to make sure that we Don't have hard cornmeal in our pap. So how many of you, your grandmother or your aunt or your mom made cornmeal for you? Feel free to message us and let us know. Tell us how you like it. You like it so the spoon will stand up, or you prefer to drink it? You eat it or you drink it? That's the question, yeah? So coming up, we're gonna round this breakfast out with some really awesome products. I can smell the ham. Whew. I'm already looking forward to eating, and I barely start to cook, yeah? So I went in with a half cup of cornmeal to a cup of milk. I let it soak before I started. As you saw, I was in the bowl, it was soaking. One more minute. And then I put my spices in the water. I'm using cinnamon and nutmeg. Very strong flavors, but they marry so well with the cornmeal because it's a very neutral flavor cornmeal, right? So you can add anything to it. It could be savory, it could be sweet. Obviously you could put in okra and get cuckoo. You could do anything with it. So it's really up to you. So what do you think of my consistency? I think it could do with a little extra milk, just a drizzle. Yes. It's thick and kind of velvety. I imagine the mouthfeel is going to be awesome. So let's see it. When I take my, let's do a little pour. Okay, in we go. Not too thick, not too thin. Oops. Now that's the start to a healthy breakfast. Let us just put a little finishing touch on there. Yes. It's a good start. Let's get some other breakfast items started. So, I promised you breakfast, and breakfast you shall have. Let us get ready for a really, really excellent omelette. Now, rather than do a traditional frittata, we are going to be doing a sweet potato omelette. But at my house, every Sunday, you stick a sweet potato in the oven. You don't always use all of it. So I'm suggesting that when you get your sweet potato, either the same day or the next day, that you try this omelette. So I baked it, so you don't have to go through all the problems of cooking the sweet potato and doing it special for this omelette. This could be your Monday, Tuesday breakfast, so you could just be carrying it over from your weekend. So part of your prep is already done, right? That seems fair. All right, so let's just get a little peel on. I'm using a really beautiful orange sweet potato. Now, sweet potato is low in carbs and high in fiber, which is very good for your gut health, and it's very good for your diabetes, for your insulin and that kind of thing. It doesn't give you the insulin spike, so it's good for your blood sugar, in short, yeah? Sweet potatoes are, of course, extremely tasty. It's gonna add a different flavor to your omelette, right? So I'm gonna cut some chunks of sweet potato. Oh, so good, right? It's gonna give you such a nice color in your omelette, and the fiber helps to keep you full. So I would say that this is a very filling breakfast item. Can have it by itself, can add some sausages, or you can just keep it vegetarian. To add some cheese. I'm not doing any cheese in this one. I'm just gonna give you onions, eggs, sweet potato, herbs, right? From there, you can literally do anything with this recipe. I invite you to try. Take a picture, post it, let us know. Did you put in mushrooms? Did you put in eggs? Oh, did you put pepper in it? Yes. Make it a little spicy. I'm sure, and I've actually found that children really like this one. Right, so here we are. Let's give our eggs a little whisk. My goddaughter calls it whiskling the eggs. And she loves to cook. She's going to be a chef apparently when she grows up. I don't know where she got that idea. I really don't. I don't know who told her about being a chef. Of course, she's so small we have to put her on the counter so she can reach. Okay, good. Nicely combined. We're going in. So our pan's hot. I could tell you that this blue flame stove, Lord, it working. It is. I don't have to wait a minute for my things to be ready, yeah? Oops, hot. Look at that. I don't want the butter brown, so in with the onions just as quickly. Well, I do want it brown, but not too brown. I don't want it over. The browning of the butter adds flavor. And I want them caramelized, so I'm using butter straight off the bat. And while we're waiting on that, we get sweet potato in, some chives, some parsley, maybe another pinch of salt. All right, let me move that around. Remember, you can make this in bulk and bake it. In we go. Lowest heat. Unlike a normal omelette, this is going to be a little denser. So, you want it on a very low heat so you don't burn the bottom before the middle cooks or set, yeah? Now, you can sit it here and wait. I like to, just at the beginning, put a cover on it. And it steams it a little bit, but it also means that I am not in danger of burning my bottom and undercooking my middle. That's my little tip. Some people just leave it and wait for it to gradually get there. And that's fine too. But this is that's my go-to tip. So let's just grab this plate. As you can see, it's already kind of set, and you just want it to go for a little bit longer. At this point, some people would just throw some cheese or something on top, if that's what you're in the mood for. Look at that, yeah? Setting, but still a little runniness in some spaces. This is a Spanish omelette, not a French omelette. There's color on the bottom because we've been caramelizing onions in the bottom of the pan. So this is okay. In fact, some people like it kind of extra crunchy on the bottom, so they go for that, yeah? So let's turn it out. And with this one, instead of eating it this side up, you want to see that beautiful brown, so flip it. All right, flip it. There you go. Maybe I'll just take a tiny taste before we move on to our next breakfast item. Breakfast is stretching on today. Let me call this brunch-ish. I mean, contractually I have to say that everything tastes good, but like it really tastes good, so I don't know what else to say, right? Next item, let's go.
Come home to the place you love. The sights, the sounds, the feelings. Come home to the taste you love. So bring home the flavor. Bring home the ham with Farmer's Choice. Bring home the flavor. Bring home the ham with Farmer's Choice.
So I promised you breakfast. I promise you endless breakfast. And that is exactly what you're gonna get. Cocoa tea. Now this recipe is very special to me. The first person to make cocoa tea for me was my grandma. And I mean, I'm a hit of chocolate, obviously. And so it was like magic watching her whisk and whisk and whisk, and you can smell it. It is aromatic, and the color, and she's just whisking, and you're wondering like, why is she doing? I was tiny. I was maybe 3 or 4 years old when she first did this for me, and she's whisking away, and I'm like, what is Granny doing? And then eventually this wonderful, rich, aromatic concoction comes off the stove, and she does the little flour dumplings and everything, and I was hooked. So as usual, we're going in with the good spices. Yeah, nice. So I'm gonna get 2 of these into the water. Today I'm gonna put a little star anise and make it smell like Christmas, so 2 of those as well. You could put in, as usual, whatever you like, but these are pretty traditional flavors. Gonna grate in some nutmeg. And a little bit more for love and, you know, for the ancestors. So, oops, there you go. Sit it down. As you can see, I have grated my cocoa. This stove, like the water is hot almost instantaneously. It's just awesome. Hot but not boiling, yeah? So I'm gonna start to whisk in my cocoa now. Gonna drop my heat a little bit. And there we go. Now, there are 22 varieties of cocoa, but 3 of them are produced commercially. The Forastero, the Cirillo, and the Trinitario variety. Now, the funny thing about the Trinitario is it was actually created by creating a hybrid of the other 2 in Trinidad after hurricanes had destroyed some very delicate Cirillo trees. The thing about the Cirillo is that's where you get fine cocoa from. And the Forastero, that is where you get bulk cocoa from. So they made a hybrid and created the Trinitario variety, which is of course still grown in Trinidad, and all over the tropics actually. You can get cocoa anywhere in the tropics, but it is of course indigenous to the Caribbean region. Trinidad is currently doing some very interesting experiments with bringing back cocoa production. I believe they've created a fine cocoa line, a fine chocolate line that at some point in time was actually a Harrods. Out of adversity, you can also get prosperity or progress, like you get something new. Evolution is good. So the Trinitario bean is maybe 5% of the world's cocoa production, and is also considered a fine chocolate. Now this smells amazing. I keep whisking while I chat to you, and then I'm gonna sit it there for a minute or 2. Get this out of the way, and I'm just gonna quickly make the little flour dumplings. The dumplings just, you know, they give it a little bit of bulk and that kind of thing. I also think that originally they maybe put them in to see if some of the cocoa fat that floats on top of the tea would be absorbed by them, but it isn't. I'm just saying. So make these little dumplings, and you just drop them in. You choose the shape. Simple recipe. So breakfast is not done yet. We're gonna have cutters, we're gonna do some bakes, we're gonna have some flying fish, all really quick, easy recipes, but they're gonna make our breakfast fabulous. So those are our dumplings. We're just gonna make some little ones. Whoops. Yeah, it's kind of like a Bajan marshmallow, right? It floats to the top when it's done. And it gives you something to chase around your cup constantly. That's what I do. Just like that. In they go. In you go. Oops, one more. Shape it out. Yes. Okay. Remove this out of the way and this out of the way. Just give my counter a little tidy. I can still whisk with my flour drops in there. Whisk away. I'm gonna give it a taste. Lovely. Chocolate explosion. All right, so you can use cornstarch to thicken your cocoa tea. I am actually going to use cassava flour because I have found that it works in exactly the same way. So I'm just going to pop in a teaspoon of cassava flour, give it a whisk. It's going to give me a little thickness, a little velvetyness to the, so a little bit more body to the cocoa tea. I'm going to whisk that in, finish up, and you finish up with a little milk. Or sometimes I don't put milk in it because I like, I like a straight shot of cocoa because I'm an addict. But you don't need to follow my bad ways. Let it simmer for a minute or two. Yes, so a little milk for our cocoa to finish it. And we're also going to put in a little essence. I find that the juxtaposition of vanilla and chocolate actually makes the chocolate flavor more intense for some reason. So I love it. I also like for you to look at and maybe consider some different sweeteners for your cocoa tea. So I have here some organic blue agave. And the reason you want the raw organic is because the pressing method does not damage the molecules in it. So if you get the one that's processed, then it actually isn't that much different than refined sugar. But if you get the raw one, then you're in business. And they actually also make tequila from this plant, so it must be good, right? Honey, which has a lower glycemic index than sugar, but it's still sweet, it still has any carbs, but it doesn't give you as large of an insulin spike, so you can consider changing your sweetener choices. I like just plain brown sugar as well, so we're just gonna pick one. The vessel into which I shall pour the cocoa tea. All right, I'm gonna taste my dumplings now. Make sure they're cooked in the middle, because you're not gonna eat raw flour, so just take a peep in the middle here. Oops. Fish it out, put it in here so I can look really good. All right, so I got my blue agave and honey from Mindful Market, along with all of these lovely decorations over in Dwellings. So if you're looking for a fun time out, feel free to mosey on up and take a little peek. It is delightful and there's a lot of variety, and there may be one or two new interesting products that you have never had before. I have stumbled across jackfruit, so sometime in the future I'm going to do something with that jackfruit, so you stick around for that. Okay, so look at that, perfect. We're going to go in with a little milk, finish it off. Look at dumplings go. Now, because the cocoa is pure cocoa pods that we put in here, there's a little bit of grounds at the bottom. So I'm going to fish out my dumplings or my flour drops before I strain my tea. So, well, I want 3, so I'm putting 3 in there first. You know, I've been to St. Lucia, and every morning the lady at the guest house, she would make cocoa tea and leave it for me. She just make it, she makes for everybody, and it's just like, it's like a staple. Like, you have to have it on mornings. It was said that the Aztecs could run all day on a cup of this good stuff. There we go. Have a look at that. Cornmeal bakes. Let's just get right into it. I'm making a reasonable amount. You know, this breakfast is just getting bigger and bigger. So half the amount of cornmeal to flour. Simple ratio. So if you use a cup of flour, half cup of cornmeal. Some people don't put cornmeal in their bakes, that's fine too. But I like the extra flavor and the little bit of texture that it adds to my bakes. So that's good, that's fine. I put a pinch of salt, sugar. Oh, come on, there you go. And again, teaspoon of baking powder. Ooh, nice and flat for accuracy. Nutmeg. We use a lot of nutmeg today, yeah? But nothing really says Barbados or the Caribbean like spices, yeah? 1 egg. Milk. Now I know some people don't use milk in their bakes and instead use water, and that's fine too. But for some reason this is how my grandmother made hers. So, and before I stir, another teaspoon of vanilla. And that's it. You don't need anything else. Your bakes are pretty much done. I'll take a little more milk. I'm looking forward to eating now. At this point, I would just really want to eat things and not cook any more things. But we do have 1 or 2 more things to cook. So I will hold out for you. I will hold out and finish making various breakfast items instead of going on break and eating. That is the depth of my affection for you, yeah? Right. Now everybody know the bake's supposed to be a little lumpy, so don't beat the tarnation out of them. There you go. Now I'm gonna grab a little spoon. I'm gonna enjoy the funny shapes that are going to be formed by my bakes. I think the funny shapes make them crispier and nicer. I like them that way. Do not judge me. Also gonna save time by quickly dropping in some plantain. So I'm afraid 2 things at once. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And there we have that lovely golden brown color. Yes.
At Dwellings, we believe that home means happy. That your home is a place where you do what you love. With the things that you love. And the people who you love. That's why our selection of housewares and fine furnishings is designed to inspire your dream home. Dwellings, we make your home happy.
Let's just quickly get some flying fish in our basket. 1, 2. I think 3 is enough. Oh, the funny thing about frying flying fish like this, the seasoning, right? You gotta be spending the whole time you breading the flying fish trying to keep seasoning on top. But we do it anyway. My egg wash. Little thick. Little milk, a little egg. Splendid. Now I'm gonna dip it gently in here. And that is, as the old people say, if you let your fish stretch out. half cornmeal, half flour. Dip. Alright, so look at this color and the crunch. I mean, it's almost like I could bang it on the side and you would hear the crispy on this flying fish. 2, 3, yes. So, one more dish, one more breakfast item, and we would have completed our triathlon of breakfast delight, yeah? Yeah, so our gluten-free bread is risen, first rise. Just gonna press it down gently. I'm just quickly going to divide it up. I already know that I get approximately 8 from this volume of dough. And I'll just give it a quick check to make sure they're about 3 ounces each. Perfect. Good. So if you try this recipe, you will once again be able to enjoy a Bajan salt bread. Yeah? So definitely feel that the dough is different. You can feel that it looks different. It rises a bit differently, but it smells very much like original salt bread. We're gonna leave these to rise. After we shape them, we're gonna leave them to rise again. And then we're gonna bake them off, and then we're gonna find out if they taste like they smell. Research is showing that Afro-Caribbean and Afro-American even populations are displaying a lot of intolerances when it comes to food. We have a special genetic profile, and apparently there's need for a lot more medical research when it comes to what is good for us and what we should eat. So for example, something like a banana, which a fruit would obviously be a healthy choice, is very high in potassium, so it could very easily not be a good choice for you if, for example, you have a family history of kidney problems or kidney failure or something like that. So discussions about health and wellness and traditional foods and all of these things require a lot more in-depth conversation than to simply say this diet is good and this one is bad, this flour is good and this one is bad, because you have to really look at the macronutrients and the contents to know what's good for you and not what's good in general. Yeah, so we're going to just pop these over to rise and then get on with the rest of our breakfast. So we're just brushing the tops of the bread with some oil before we pop them into the oven. That's perfect. Into the oven. Oh, smell that bread. Look at that. Now I just need a little anchor butter and I'm good to go, yeah? And here we are at our final dish for this momentous breakfast. And do you know why it's the final dish and probably the best dish? Because I'm going to make a breakfast cutter using salt bread that I made. Yes, I pick you. Two halves of perfection. I also pick you. So, using the garlic spread because it is going to give my bun a little extra oomph, a little more flavor, crisp in the top, because that is how I like it. Gonna get a plate. You might want to know what is going on my spectacular breakfast cutter. Have no fear, there will be layers of loveliness. So first, the bread, then there will be sausage. Lovely. What do you think we should put on the very first layer? Sausages or cheese? I think maybe cheese. So let's go with that first. Yes. And then plantain. So I'm gonna steal a few of these, because nothing says Bajan breakfast like some plantain. Am I right? Does that not say Bajan breakfast sandwich already? Right, so now I have some color on my Eve brown and served sausages. Now, yes, I believe, yes, that is enough. That is lovely. And only one more thing. Do I need to make my sandwich, my cutter, complete? One innocent egg. Yes, there it is. So as soon as the bottom is set, we are set. And finally, I will get to eat my well-deserved, hard-labored for breakfast. And it's perfect. Oh, look at the wobble on that yolk. And there we have it, folks. The ultimate Bajan breakfast cutter. We're gonna copyright that, yeah? Now, is it complete if there's no hot sauce on it or ketchup? Of course it's not. But on the other side of the bun, I'm gonna give you some hot sauce and a little ketchup. I'm gonna give it a swirl, make it sexy. We're all about the sexy food here at How to Cook Like a Bajan. Voila!
My name is Rhea and I'm from Mount Gay Distilleries Limited. Today, I'm going to make a cocktail to go with Rhea's Sunday brunch. My cocktail is called Ruby Kisses. So, let's do it. First, Mount Gay Black Barrel. Now this as well has been changed, not just the label, but the blend itself. It's a blend of rums aged for 3 to 7 years. Also, it contains a higher portion of double distilled alcohol, therefore it's going to be a lot smoother, richer, and again, highly aromatic. Black Barrel. I'm going to use 1 ounce. Now for a breakfast cocktail, you don't want to go too heavy on the alcohol. I think 1 ounce is enough. 1 1/4. Sorrel syrup, homemade of course. 1 ounce. Now this is going to add some tartness, because as you would know, sorrel is actually not sweet, it is sweetened. So it's going to bring some tartness as well as some herbaceousness. It also has in some citrus peel, cinnamon, bay leaf, goodness all together. Grapefruit juice, just so we feel better about drinking alcohol so early in the morning. 1 ounce of that as well. Ginger beer, good for digestion, opens up the appetite. 1 ounce of this. Half simple syrup, just to give it a bit more sweetness. And then we're going to bring that down with a 1/2 ounce of lime juice. Like I said, the average lime contains 1 ounce, so half a lime, approximately 1/2 ounce lime juice. Let's ice it up and get shaking. A nice vigorous shake, and she'll tell us when she's ready. She's ready, nice and chilled. And to that, we're going to add some dehydrated citrus. I prefer grapefruit. Looks nice and rustic. All right, and there you have it, Ruby Kisses.
From design layouts and 3D renders, and advanced digital templating guaranteeing precision, to CNC machining for surfaces and cabinets, you're guaranteed the perfect fit.